The phone lit up at 2:07 a.m. A buzz cut through the silence. Her name glowed on the screen. I sat up, blankets pooling around my legs. The city lights bled through the blinds, painting stripes on the floor. My throat tightened. I knew what she wanted before I even swiped the screen. 2 words had brought her back, 2 words that could undo everything. I hesitated, thumb hovering. Then I answered. Her voice was a whisper, fragile. I need to hear it again. My stomach dropped. I closed my eyes, the script already in my head. My name is Mark. I'm 42, divorced, no kids. I worked as an accountant for a mid-size firm. Life was quiet, predictable. I liked coffee black, the same mug every morning. My apartment had one window that faced east. The sunrise was always the same shade of gray. I never thought of myself as charming, but I watched the older men at the bar. They leaned in, eyes soft, voices low. They listened more than they spoke. I admired that. I had a few dates, short flings. Nothing lasted longer than a month. I told myself I was bad at relationships. The truth was, I didn't know how to connect. I read articles about psychology in my spare time. I wanted to understand women. I thought there was a secret formula. I never imagined it would be 2 words. I practiced small talk in the mirror. My reflection never answered back. I felt lonely in crowded rooms. I envied the couples who laughed without effort. I believed if I could say the right thing, they'd see me. I didn't know the cost. I told myself I was just learning. I never saw the line I was about to cross. I was normal then, or at least I thought so. The world hadn't turned against me yet. I was still innocent in my own story. Every night I sat on the balcony, smoke a cigarette. The wind carried voices from the street below. I listened to strangers argue, laugh, say goodbye. I wished I could be part of those moments. I told myself patience would pay off. I didn't know patience was a lie, I told myself. I kept a notebook where I wrote down phrases that worked. I never wrote my own feelings. I only wrote what I thought they wanted to hear. I told myself it was research. I didn't see the mask slipping. My friends noticed I was changing. They said I seemed more confident. They didn't see the fear behind the smile. I was building a house on sand. I didn't know how fragile it was. I was about to learn the hard way. It started at a friend's summer party. The backyard was lit with string lights. She stood by the grill, sipping wine. Her name was Lisa. I didn't know her well. We talked about her job, the stress, the long hours. She sighed, shoulders dropping. I nodded, my mind searching. Then it came out, without thinking. I understand, I said. Her eyes softened, a smile tugging at the corners. The tension in her posture melted. I felt a surge, like a key turning. I didn't realize it was a lock I had just picked. We kept talking, but the dynamic shifted. She leaned in, sharing more personal details. I repeated the words later that night, in a text. I understand, I typed, before sending a heart emoji. She replied instantly, you get me. That moment felt powerful. I testing it again the next week with a coworker. She complained about a client. I understand, I offered. Her frown lifted. The phrase became a tool. I used it at coffee shops, on dates, in elevators. Each time the reaction was the same. A slight pause, then a softening. I felt like I could shape any conversation. I didn't stop to ask why it worked. I was too busy chasing the high. The more I said it, the less I felt it. I was saying words without meaning. I told myself I was helping them feel heard. Deep down, I knew I was taking shortcuts. I ignored the voice that warned me. I kept the phrase close, a secret weapon. I didn't see the damage it would cause. I was blind to the consequences. The first crack appeared when she asked me a question. What do you really understand? She said. I hesitated, my mind blank. The moment passed, but the doubt stayed. I felt the ground shake beneath me. The phrase became a habit. I said it before I even heard the problem. It slipped out automatically. I told myself it was empathy, but it was easier than listening. I used it on a date with Rachel. We sat on a park bench, leaves rustling. She spoke about her mother's illness. I understand, I said. Her eyes welled up, grateful. I felt a pang of guilt, but I pushed it down. The next day, she texted, "Thank you for getting me." I smiled, but the smile felt hollow. I started using it at work meetings. A client complained about delays. "I understand," I said, nodding. The room relaxed. My boss praised my people skills. I felt like an imposter. I stayed late, practicing the phrase in front of the mirror. "I understand," I whispered. The sound echoed, empty. I met a woman online. Her profile said, "Seeking deep connection." We video called, her face filling the screen. She told me about a breakup, tears streaming. "I understand," I said, my voice steady. She wiped her eyes. "You're different." I hung up, my chest tight. I was lying to myself as much as to her. I began to notice the pattern. Every time I said it, the conversation ended quickly. They felt heard, but they didn't want to talk anymore. I was cutting off depth before it could grow. I tried to stop for a day. Silence felt awkward. I slipped back. "I understand," I said to a barista. She smiled. "That's sweet." I left feeling worse. My friend Tom asked why I seemed distant. "I understand," I said without thinking. He laughed. "You say that a lot lately." My stomach churned. I brushed it off, but the seed was planted. I started avoiding situations where I might need the phrase. I turned down invitations, stayed home. The apartment grew quiet, too quiet. I heard the tick of the clock louder than before. I read an article about manipulation tactics. The words false empathy jumped out. I felt a cold sweat. I realized I had become the thing I hated. I wanted to stop, but the habit was rooted. I said it to my sister on the phone. She said, "You don't know my life." The line went dead. I stared at the phone, heart racing. I was losing people I cared about. The phrase was a wall, not a bridge. I tried to replace it with silence, but silence felt like a void. I was trapped in a loop of my own making. I saw a therapist, finally. I said, "I keep saying I understand." She looked at me. "Do you?" I had no answer. The session ended with no resolution. I left feeling heavier. The phrase echoed in my head, a mantra gone wrong. I heard it in my dreams, whispered by strangers. I woke up sweating, the sheets tangled. I knew I needed to change. But how? The next encounter would test me. It was a rooftop gathering. She stood by the edge, wind in her hair. Her name was Maya. We had talked for hours about her past trauma. The city lights sparkled below. She looked at me, eyes vulnerable. "I've never told anyone this before," she said. My heart pounded. The old reflex kicked in. "I understand," I said softly. She froze, the words hanging in the air. "You say that like it's a line," she said. I felt the ground shift. "I didn't mean—" I started. She stepped back. "You don't even know me." The night turned cold. She walked away, leaving me alone by the railing. I watched her go, the door slamming shut. That moment was the end of the road. I realized the phrase had become a barrier. I couldn't take it back. The damage was done. I stood there, staring at the empty space. The city noise faded into silence. I knew I had crossed a line. There was no going back. The mask slipped, and I saw myself. The next morning, my phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from friends. What happened last night? Maya had told them everything. "She said you used a script," one text read. I read it 3 times, stomach churning. I tried to call Maya, but she blocked my number. My coworker avoided me in the hallway. I heard whispers in the break room. "Did you hear what he did?" I felt the weight of judgment. I went to a coffee shop, hoping for normalcy. The barista greeted me. "I understand," she said. I realized she had heard it too. I left without ordering. I stayed home for days, curtains drawn. The silence was deafening. I thought about the women I had met. Each one had opened up, trusting me. I had taken that trust and twisted it. I felt ashamed, deeply. I wrote a letter, apologizing for the deception. I mailed it to Maya. No reply. I sent a text to Lisa. I'm sorry for using words I didn't feel. She wrote back, it's too late. My reputation crumbled. I lost a promotion at work. My boss said, we need someone trustworthy. I nodded, the phrase stuck in my throat. I saw a couple holding hands on the street. I envied their genuine connection. I realized I had built walls instead of bridges. I started volunteering at a shelter, listening without words. I sat with people, offering silence. They shared their stories, and I just listened. It was hard, but it felt real. I learned that empathy isn't a phrase, it's presence, patience, and humility. The scar remained, a reminder. Every time I heard I understand, I flinched. The words haunted me. I avoided saying them at all costs. I replaced them with, tell me more. It was awkward at first, but slowly it felt honest. People began to open up again, but differently. They sensed the change. I was no longer the man with the quick fix. I was a man learning to be human. The journey was painful, but necessary. I stopped receiving messages from old contacts. The inbox grew quiet. I realized the price of shortcuts. I had lost years I can't get back. I sat on the balcony, smoke-free now. The wind carried new sounds, birds chirping. I listened, truly listened. I noticed the small details I'd missed before. A child's laugh, a dog's bark, the rustle of leaves. I felt alive again, though scarred. I accepted that some relationships were beyond repair. I let go of the need to be liked. I embraced the uncomfortable truth. I was flawed, but I was trying. I shared my story with a small group. They nodded, some eyes wet. I felt a sliver of redemption. I knew the road ahead was long, but I walked it step by step. I no longer carried the 2 words like a weapon. They sat dusty on a shelf. I chose silence over false comfort. I chose truth over easy applause. I chose myself, finally. Now I sit by the window, coffee in hand. The sunrise paints the sky in soft pink. I no longer chase shortcuts to intimacy. I let conversations unfold at their own pace. Some days are quiet, others filled with laughter. I accept that connection can't be forced. I still think of Maya sometimes. I wonder if she ever feels the same. I have no answers, only silence. I keep a journal now, writing my true thoughts. No scripts, no rehearsed lines. Just raw, unfiltered honesty. It's messy, but it's mine. I've made amends where I can. Some doors stay closed. I respect that. I've learned that trust is earned, not taken. The 2 words sit in the back of my mind. I don't say them anymore. They lost their power when I gave up the need to control. I'm learning to live without them. Peace comes slowly, but it comes. 2 words can open hearts or shut them down. I chose the wrong path, and now every silence reminds me of the price I paid for a shortcut that never truly connected.